Right, so good. Hey class, I think we talked already introduction of what the community is. So today we're going to discuss the benefits of being in a community. So if you're in a community, you could find support and you could also give support to each other. Then being in a community is also an opportunity to influence people. Then sharing also, because you could share your ideas, and when you consolidate ideas, it becomes something better. Reinforcement also, it provides reinforcement to you as an individual. If you belong to a community, you feel more confident. Then connection, being in a community provides a sense of connection to other people. Acceptance, if you are in a community, you could also find acceptance. Uh, then also learning resources. Then if you are in a community, it provides a lot of learning as a group. Then resources are also shared. Then it's also an avenue for passion of what the things that you like to do. So what is a community planning? So community planning, we're gonna define it first through public participation should be an indispensable element in human settlements, especially in planning strategies and their formulation, implementation, and management. It should influence all levels of government in the decision-making process to further the political and economic growth of human settlements. So what this means is that when you plan, when you formulate strategies, especially in the government, public participation is really important so that you'll be able to hear the thoughts of those who will be directly affected by the programs that you plan to implement. So what is community planning? Community planning is a form of urban and regional planning that incorporates social, economic, and environmental considerations to guide future development at the scale of neighborhoods, towns, cities, and regions. So, what is community planning? So, it is a planning carried out with the active participation of the end user. So, the keyword here is active participation. So, that's why in this subject, when we do our actual exercise with the communities, it's really important that you talk to them on what are their needs. Then it aims to produce a plan for the future of a community devised by the local community. The community plan sets out proposals for the way in which a community wants to develop and respond to changes in the future. So I guess here, so these are the levels of community involvement. So similar to architecture, um, you have here initiation, planning, implementation, and here the only difference that it's maintenance. Okay. So for self-help, it's community control. Um, the community initiates the action that needs to be done. Plan, the community plans alone. Implement, community implements alone. And then the community maintains alone. So that's the self-help. So that's the level of community involvement. Here it's just self-help. So in a partnership wherein there are shared working and decision making, the difference is here it's the self-help is pure community control. Here at the initiation phase, the authorities and community jointly initiate action. In the planning, Authorities and community jointly plan and design, so there's collaboration. Then there's a joint implementation between the authorities and the community. Then the authorities and the community jointly maintain also. At the consultation stage, community authorities ask community for opinions. So here in initiation stage, authorities initiate action after consulting the community. Then authorities plan after consulting the community. Authorities implement with the consultation with the community. And authorities maintain with the uh, community consultation. Here at self-help, one-way flow of information, public relations, the authorities initiate action, the authorities plan and design alone, authorities implement alone, authorities maintain alone. So it's the same here. A self-help wherein it's only the community involved. Same self-help here wherein it's only the authorities that are involved. If you were to ask me, a partnership for me is much better. For me, this is much more effective, especially if the community is involved. So if you look at, there's a lot of problems with our esteros here in Cagayan de Oro also. I don't think it would work if the authorities would be the ones solely implementing them without the cooperation of the community. So you really need um, the help of others in order for a program to succeed. So what is community development? So let's start here. I know of no safe depository of the ultimate powers of society, but the people themselves, and if we think them not enlightened enough to exercise their control with the wholesome discretion, the remedy is not to take it from them, but to inform their discretion. So that's from Thomas Jefferson, the architect and president of the United States in 1820. That's a letter to William Charles Harris. So what do you think this statement means, class? So for me, what's written here, it says that you should allow people to think for themselves and you should trust their judgment and ultimately involve them in the decision making process. You shouldn't think from them that any plan or decision that you make, especially if you're in the government, it must be something that has already been consulted at least with the community or the public. So what is community development? Again, so members collectively take action of important issues that concerns their community, undertaken to enable all members to have access to health, well-being, uh, wealth, justice, and opportunity. The core values are human rights, social justice, equality, and respect for diversity. So let's start with this statement. Members collectively take actions of important issues that concerns their community. So this means that in a community, all members should look into the issues and collect as a group, take action. Then here, second statement, undertaken to enable all members to have access to health, well-being, wealth, justice, and opportunity. So for instance, here in our city, in our country, not all have access to health. There are far-flung areas that cannot that don't have access to good hospitals, to doctors. And if you are belong to the laylayan or the poorest of the poor, you have limited access to justice. and opportunity, and also to wealth. There's an equal distribution of wealth here in the Philippines. The core values for this are human rights, social justice, equality, and respect for diversity. So respect for diversity means listening the opinions of others, not just one sole opinion. So excuse me, what is the term development in the context of CD or community development? It is a process that increases choices, new options, diversification, change of perspectives, and anticipating change. So when you say increase choices, it means that you have better options. For example, you now have choices where to get your healthcare from, or choices on how to improve your quality of life. Then it involves change, such as the vitality of the economy, people's participation, the flexibility to adapt, social equity, people's attitudes and outlook, functionality of institutions, and quality of life. So I think for me, what we really need to do here in the Philippines is really to improve the quality of life. Um, to have a society wherein everybody have dignity in their lives, dignified housing, dignified jobs, um, even dignified um, public spaces. Okay, so let's move. So development in the context of CD, it is the expansion and creation of what people value. So it's not just in financial wealth. Then, to catalyze development, a community itself must engage in a process aimed at improving the social, economic, and the environmental situation of the community. So, a key initiator of development when communities have the ability to collectively make better decisions about the use of resources such as infrastructure, labor, and knowledge. So, here in your decision making capacity, you have so it's encompassed by community development. So you're going to have knowledge awareness. So you have access to good education, access to resources. Because class, what really separates the rich from the poor, and what that makes the rich become richer is that they have access to vast knowledge now to improve their lives. While the poor have limited options, the poor is mostly focused on day-to-day living. Then improve decision making capacity in terms of natural resources. In labor, here in financial capital, it's also really important. Uh, the difference between an architect who has rich parents and those who don't is that if you came from an affluent background, uh, you have it's easier for you to establish and find clients. If you start from scratch, it's not impossible, but it's a lot harder. Sometimes it takes a decade to build your name. Because if you are rich, all you have to do is ask for capital, to venture into design build business, or you can talk to the friends of your family. But if you are starting from scratch, it really takes time to build your name. Then the living environment and also this infrastructure. These are the uh, decision making factors in community development. So community development, this will be the last slide, is the successful community development depends on the following principal foundations. It's participation, sustainability, equity, and social justice. Participation means that everybody in the community should be involved, because without involvement, it will be hard to maintain, so the project won't be sustainable. And for if you're going to look into equity and social justice, um, the community development won't be successful if there's no social justice done or there's no equity. Um, if you look at this picture here, I think this is the right example for it. There are some people who are already rich, so they don't need as much help as these two guys here, right side. So it's going to be successful. Community development is going to be successful if there is equal opportunity for everyone. Okay. Just like us, guys, um, those who are born in rich families, it's easier for them to study architecture abroad. So when they come back, they have more access to more knowledge. But if we could eliminate that, if we could provide opportunities for all students, regardless of their backgrounds, then we have equity and social justice. So this is our lecture for the week. Continue working on your activities, your questions and clarifications. We will meet also online. Okay, thank you.